So I am far from being the sharpest tool in the shed, but I do have some theories. And before you delve into this video, if you haven't completed the game, I highly suggest you do so. There will be spoilers in this video which might ruin the overall gameplay for you, or you might be like, oh, that's pretty intriguing. Maybe I'll look for it on my first playthrough. But again, it's up to you. And I won't keep you here for long. These are a lot of bullet points I just noticed and I was like, ooh, write that down, write that down. So we'll start with Area 0, or the Great Crater of Paldea. So in terms of geologic structures, craters are either formed by impact or by an explosion. With that being said, the Great Crater of Paldea was either the site of a great impact or an explosion. So drawing parallels to the real world, which Pokemon often does, and starting with the past here, the Chicxulub crater is the result of the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. And when I say asteroid, the Pokemon that I think of when I think of asteroids is the asteroid cowboy Deoxys. So Deoxys is defined as a parasite from space. The terrestrialization process is referred to as almost as if it's like a parasite, or it's not very welcome here. And keep in mind, Deoxys's brain is a literal crystal. And strangely enough, in whichever version you're playing, I played Violet. You can see that on Turo's desk that it looks like he's researching some sort of DNA under a microscope on the table closest to the entry point to the lab. Also, might I add, Deoxys is the DNA Pokemon. And behind this whole little lab set he's got going on here, there's geological sample containers, like the kind NASA send to the moon when they want a sample of some moon rocks. So that's theory number 1, Deoxys. Theory number 2 is relating to the black crystals, which is what I'm going to call them. You'll see my intents and purposes later on in the video. The black crystals surrounding the crater. In my theory that I'm composing, those black crystals have to be Necrozma. Necrozma is directly tied to ultra space and ultra wormholes. So while we're here, we'll touch on this before we get into some other tangents. This next part might get a little confusing, but try to bear with me. The YouTuber Kayla's Capsule is super smart and figured out Pokemon actually threw the Greek letter for quantum in the game, right there in front of our face. With the key aspect of the plot being based around time travel, this brings back in quantum physics, which brings in a host of other things like the theory of relativity, twin paradox, and wormholes. With that in mind, I don't think the non-AI Turo, the original Turo, is dead. I think he got picked up by a wormhole and got put in either a different location or a different time, since that's how wormholes work. Piggybacking off of that, the pictures in Turo's lab aren't very current pictures of Arven. They're pictures of Arven when he was still a child. This is where the twin paradox theory comes into play. And it's not the easiest thing to explain since I'm not a quantum physicist and I'm not good at these things. But in layman's terms, it's that 1 year here could be 5 seconds on another planet, which would make Turo stay the same age and Arven get substantially older. As you know, you scale it to whatever is appropriate. When you're about to face the AI or the Paradise Protection Protocol, it even says to you that AIs aren't possible with the present day technology. Which leaves you to ponder, how did it get made in the first place? And that's how we're going to throw it into Turo being in the future, sending his past or present day, would-be present day self, information and know-how on how to build an AI to help himself achieve his goal of time travel, I guess. That's where it gets paradoxy and you don't quite understand things. But I don't think this is the first time humans have dabbled in time travel, with I think the first one being Heath. So with the crater that we're saying is formed by Deoxys already being in place, and the black crystals around that crater on the outskirts being formed by Necrozma, we have reason to believe that Necrozma possibly made a wormhole that Heath got sucked into, got put in a different time, had more resources available to him, was somehow able to go back, talk to himself, or rather leave himself a set of notes that present day Heath could go back and reference. This explains why Heath has no recollection of it, but it's in his own handwriting. So we're going to move away from the quantum, time travel, and paradox related things for a moment, to touch on some other bullet points. The lab in Area 0 has no other architecture in the game that looks like it. It looks like it's from the future. I mean, the school itself is dated to be 205 years old. Now, is the school the oldest structure in the game? No. I would believe that the places where the ruinous Pokemon were sold would be the oldest, technically, structures in the game. But you don't see any other common architecture throughout all of Paldea shared with the lab in Area Zero. And something's definitely up with the history teacher. She knows more than we think she knows. If you give a thorough look at her design, you can notice her Articuno necklace, a Lunala belt, and a Marshadow hair tie. Moving on to the disc Pokemon, the illustration featured in the book looks like it takes place in space, and to me it looks like some sort of eclipse event is happening. And the creature on top of this orb or sphere, or in 2D terms it would be called a disc, looks like a fantastical Magikarp, with it having a super pronounced crown on top, the scales being oversized, and a longer Goldeen-like tail. Now off the topic of the disc Pokemon and onto another prominent topic in Scarlet and Violet. Everyone's been throwing their hats in the ring for a guess on what this is, with it being featured on everything from the Pokemon League's affiliates to Gita's Arena. If we go back and look at Necrozma, isn't this the thing that's featured on the back of his head, or tail? Whatever it is. How could Necrozma symbolism end up all the way in Paldea? I don't know. That just kind of further backs up the fact that Pokemon were falling out of the sky like Transformers in 2007. Another idea that popped in my head in the process of making this video is that Glimmet and Glimora are actually more similar to Cosmog and Cosmoem. And while I get that Glimmet and Glimora are abundant in Area Zero, it could be a DLC thing where you only get one item to have that third box art legendary that we would be getting. Aside from that, other questions to be posed are, what did Turo need to protect the Zero Lab from? Other time travelers? People from the past? People from the future? Whatever they are, they know how to use Pokeballs. Will Turo ever find his way back to Arvin? Was Turo trying to understand how wormholes work like an Interstellar?
You thought it would just be a hole. No, it's just that all the illustrations I've ever seen, the illustrations. I'll show you how it works. So they say you want to go from here to there, but it's too far, right? Mm-hmm. So a wormhole bends space like this, so you can take a shortcut through a higher dimension. Okay, so to show that, they've turned three-dimensional space into 2 dimensions, which turns a wormhole into 2 dimensions. A circle. What's a circle in 3 dimensions? Sphere. Exactly. A spherical hole. But who put it there? Who do we have to thank?
What were these things and what were they supposed to hold? After you leave here and fall down into the crater, you can see that a bunch of these things are embedded into the ground. Why is this thing this shape? Why is Cyclozar green? Is it because it's the middle of the UV spectrum? If you look at a UV spectrum and put a integer number line right next to it, is like one supposed to be past and one is now and then the other is future, which equals the 0 point is now? I don't know. Back to business. Your ability is Orichalcum Pulse. Wait, what's Orichalcum? It's a complex alloy that's comprised of all these blended together. Copper, zinc, lead, nickel, and iron. Not easy to make, and it was made 2,600 years ago approximately. I think it originated from somewhere near Rome or Greece. Speaking of, you know who kind of looked a little bit Roman in these past couple of games? He's a merchant. His name is Volo. Dude's a time traveler, and he's wearing a toga, complete with the Roman sandals. Okay, we're in the home stretch now. Last couple of points. Is this metal plate made of the Pokemon's equivalent of Orichalcum? Is the intersection of the 2 triangles supposed to be like a "you are here" type of deal? It looks like an hourglass. And I can't read Pokemon, but this says something something something, Area Zero something something something. Whoever put this plate here knew where they were. They put a cross right in the middle of the crater. Not only that, but they knew what the rest of Paldea looked like too. And they also put like 9 dots on the map. I tried to have a picnic here with the 4 ruinous Pokemon to show them a good time and it didn't work. Maybe the crater doesn't have a day-night cycle because the crater's days are super long? Why do people like this shape so much? It's like, when I was looking at it, I figured it out. It's an observatory for space. Yep, we're definitely getting a French DLC. Your ability, Hadron Engine, which I'm taking another shot at here, is based off of the Large Hadron Collider. And apparently hadrons are made of quarks, which I guess explains the other future Paradox Pokemon's abilities. If you look at the design of the LHC, Large Hadron Collider, and compare it to the thing that's in the top of the room where AI Turo goes to the future, they kind of look the same. Here, let me flip it. And aside from the LHC being able to create a wormhole, which in turn could just bump you over into a parallel universe, apparently it also creates a little bit of antimatter. Antimatter, you say?
Who's that Pokémon?
Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk, and these were all just theories I was thinking about as I saw stuff happen and unfold in the game, so if you liked it, leave a like. Please don't subscribe. The rest of my stuff is like usually car stuff, but I play this game, so why not? See you guys next time.